Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Haunt Talk. This is going to be our Haunt of the Year Awards. So we do this every year after we've been to all the haunted houses and that, and go by different categories. And this year we've picked out 3 nominees for each category, and then of course there'll be a winner for each one, and then of course it'll end in our overall favorite haunt of the year. Now, some of these picks aren't going to be, they're not strictly based on the score we gave.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, this one got a 10, so this is just number 1. We also kind of took into, personal account of just things that we, kind of liked the most in that category.
Yeah.
Some things will be a little more generalized, and then some things will be a little bit more specific. We'll have, I think one of the things we have is, an actual, the best, one scare type of thing like that. But overall I think we went to how many different places was it this year? It was
quite a bit. I want to say 20 something.
Yeah, it was definitely high 20s. I want to say 26, 27, something like that. Now we wanted to go to some blackout ones, but we didn't really get to do any of those, so maybe in the future we will do some of the blackout ones. And we definitely want to make it to a couple Christmas ones. It kind of sucks, though, because almost all of them are open on the same weekend. So it's gonna, and they're usually not open full hours, but Nightmare Cleveland's doing a Christmas one this year, which...
I'm intrigued. I want to see bugs with Santa hats.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Really hoping that's what's going to happen, because...
Right, because what a weird theme for a haunt to be a Christmas. So yeah, we're more than intrigued for that, so we're definitely going to check that one out, and then... There's a bunch of other ones. We're not sure which is the other ones. Which one, beside Nightmare Cleveland, would you guys like to see us most go to? We were also talking, we're surprised that Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse doesn't do a Christmas one.
I actually would be intrigued about how the Carvers celebrate Christmas.
Christmas with the Carvers.
Yeah.
I think...
Both with K's.
Just imagine, everything all Christmasified in, their slaughterhouse they live in.
Oh, my God. The pig mascot with a Santa hat and a beard.
That'd be cute. I don't know. I'm surprised. I mean, it might be because of the weather, and I don't think that building's heated, which is probably why they don't do it there, but I still think that it would be cool. Just I guess everyone had to bundle up really good. It's more I think for the actors because they're there all night. But yeah, so that kind of being said, now we were thinking about doing this as a live video. That idea kind of happened late, and we had no videos that weren't already recorded when that idea happened, so we had no way to advertise it. So we're like, well, if we do it, there's probably not going to be any viewers because we just didn't talk about it at all. So unless you happen to be on YouTube when we did it, you just wouldn't have been part of the live stream. So I think maybe for next year, we will do a live stream, or maybe we'll do another live stream about something else that's not Haunt of the Year Awards, obviously, later in the year. If there's an idea you have for a live stream, and we could do Q&A, but an overall theme for it, because I don't see us getting that much participation, so it couldn't just be a Q&A, because I don't think enough people would be typing to justify an entire live video for that. So let us know of a theme or something you'd like to kind of see us discuss live and kind of incorporate elements of Q&A and stuff like that. But that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and get into our Haunt of the Year Awards. And of course, as always, that means we must refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Alright, so we're going to start with a category that, to be honest, we didn't really get too many this year, but we still wanted to include it, which is going to be our favorite. We have it listed as hayride, but we're going to just really usefully use the term hayride. More of ride.
Yeah. So our 3 contenders are Wilmington Haunted Hollow.
Yep. And that one, again, that one's more of a bus ride.
Yeah. At the top. Sandyland Acres and Fright Farm.
Yep. So I mean, Sandyland, if you watched our reviews, was probably our least favorite of these 3. It was a very old school haunt. They were also really busy the night we went, so I assume if you happen to go on a night that it's less busy, I guess they don't rush the wagons through as much as what we were told through comments, but again, we judge on what we see. Now, Fright Farm, this one's really good, but that's only half the experience, though.
Yes.
But they did have a lot of cool stuff, and again, you can watch the reviews. We're going to talk about each of these things when we're in the category.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you want full details, we have reviews for everything we'll be talking about, of course, from this year. And that's another thing, is we're only taking into account things we went to this year, no previous years.
Yes.
But then Wilmington, of course, that was the one that was most interesting. It's a school bus with its top chopped off. And there's all kinds of fun scenes through there. And it's a real sketchy, but in a fun way, ride through the woods, some terrain. You're like, are we going to make it up this hill? And
Yeah, it was certainly interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So that being said, our winner for best hayride is Wilmington.
Yeah, definitely one of the most unique attractions we went to this year. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a very like old school Halloween-y vibe.
Yeah.
And then there's just certain things like the semi-chase and just like the way the structures were so low to you and like so close. I've never seen in like a ride before. I've never seen like you just so enclosed in certain scenes. Things like that. And the fact that the actors were pretty entertaining, the way they'd walk on the side of the bus.
Yeah.
Overall, we had a lot of fun at this attraction for sure.
All right, moving on to our next category, which is family friendly.
Yes. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be our favorite category winner, but there are a lot of people out there that have younger, kids and stuff, and they, you might be a haunt enthusiast, but, you want to take something that's not going to just terrorize your kid for life. So that's kind of why we devised this category.
All right, so our contenders are Wilmington Haunted Hollow.
Just the ride portion, I will say.
Yeah, the houses are a little much. I would say definitely just the ride would be something that you would definitely take some kids on.
Right.
Yeah. Hubbard Haunted Woods, I believe it was called.
And this is also just the hayride. We didn't actually do the trail for this place.
Yeah. And then Fortress of Fear.
Yep. So none of these places were super extreme. I think the most extreme on this would be Fortress of Fear.
Yeah.
But yes, so we did, I don't think we're going to linger on this category too much. We did give this one to the Hubbard Haunted Woods Hayride, because it is a cool, creepy ride in the dark, but there's not a lot of scares. The actors aren't real intense. This is something that when we were like doing this, that I told Kim, like, it felt like a haunt that I used to go to when I was a kid. Like my parents would take me to kind of, introduce me to haunted hayrides and such. So I do think, and it's relatively cheap, I think, as well. I believe it's only $15 per person for the hayride.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's 15 or 20. Yeah, it's not super expensive for the ride. And honestly, like, even though it's not that scary, it is just a nice ride through the woods.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good one to take the kids to so they don't, like, pee themselves, I guess. Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next category, which is Best Sets and Props.
Yes.
All right, so
one of my favorite categories.
Our three contenders are Fear Columbus, Markoff's Haunted Forest, and Laurel's House of Horror.
This one was a real hard one, like, because all these places are different, and there are other ones that aren't, because we said we're only going to do 3 for each one. But I mean, we've been to so many like amazing sets and props places, like, I mean, Nightmare Cleveland, I mean, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. Just to name a couple more, I mean, even like Ghoul Brothers has amazing sets and props, but like, it was hard to just narrow it down to these 3. But Fear Columbus, that is like the bombastic, like loud, in your face, like everywhere you look, there's eye candy for you.
Yes. And Markoff's, I mean, they really used the woods to their advantage.
Yes.
And you could definitely tell that everything back there was handmade.
Yeah.
And the way that it was made was just fantastic and big and just really put you into the scene.
Yeah, very, very grand. I've never been to a haunted trail like this. I mean, I've never been to Haunted Overload, but like some of the stuff they have reminds me a little bit of that.
Yes.
But just how terrain forward it was and how the whole woods had the spooky atmosphere. Everything was kind of laden in fog. Just a very pretty attraction.
Yes. And then Laurel's, I mean, besides being in a haunted theater, their sets were just phenomenal as well. I mean, they really immersed you into the scene they wanted you to be in, and it just, the weaving in and out of things.
Yeah, and really good design.
Yeah, just very well set out.
Also, like, just really, like, grand scenes.
Yes.
I didn't expect that because on the outside, it doesn't look like it's going to be that big. But, I mean, I guess it is a theater.
Yeah.
And they're using, like, the empty... I don't know how many, like, theaters were in this originally.
I don't know either. Yeah, it looks like they're at least using one of the theaters as an actual theater.
Yeah,
you do walk through that scene. But, yeah, who knows how many... were actually in there.
If you know, leave us a comment down below. But yeah, this was definitely the surprise. I didn't think this one was going to be bad, but I just did not expect the scenes to be as an elaborate and unique, and just like the way they had things lit and just the attention to detail in this place. Like Kim had mentioned, like how one of the hallways for like the like hotel themed had like the hotel sign like crashed through. Just like everything had a purpose in Laurel's.
So our winner for best sets and props is Laurel's.
Yeah. And again, this was a hard one to kind of decide. They're all just amazing. Yeah. But for what I kind of look like it, and I even described in the review as it reminded me a little bit of the way that Dead Man's Pier was set up, just of how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
I just really, really liked the way this one looked in its aesthetics.
All right. Next category is Best Actors. Our contenders are Ghoul Brothers, Laurel's House of Horror, and Nightmare Cleveland.
Yep. So, Ghoul Brothers, because they are everywhere, all the time.
All of them.
There's never more than like 10 seconds before you see another group of actors. And I mean, it's just like, and there's always like almost more than one actor too.
Yes.
It is insanity.
Yeah. There's usually, I don't recall there being a dead space at all anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much none. And I actually got the chance to go back with some of my workers, and we went again, and there was even more actors somehow that night. It was complete insanity. Laurel's was really cool because they did have quite a few.
Yes.
But they were also really interactive.
Yes.
Like, there wasn't as many as Ghoul Brothers. It wasn't anything like that. But we really liked how interactive they were, how they would talk to you and, like, stalk you and stuff like that.
Yeah. Tell you really bad jokes.
Yes.
You know. And then Nightmare Cleveland, they just... The way they had their haunt set up is that they just kept going after you time and time again. Yep. Again, they were very interactive. We had gone there twice. We had gone there without the touch pass, and then we went back with the touch pass. And it was just...
Yeah.
They were just all over. And they just had really awesome like ways they interacted with people, and it just was,
and the costuming as well on them.
Yeah.
Like, just I've never seen a haunt that has so many like creatures.
Yes.
And and like the biomutant guy that's in the one hallway. Just really impressive show there, especially for a first year haunt as well. Yes. All the actors are very much on point.
So our winner for Best Actors is Ghoul Brothers.
Yeah. Ghoul Brothers, I feel like, has definitely won this category before. Their actors are always just so freaking good there. And really the actors are, in my opinion, the most important thing of a haunt. Like, you can have a beautiful haunt, but if there's no actors there to entertain you, it just kind of like, leaves it feeling a little bit flat. But yeah, Ghoul Brothers always knocks it out of the park. There's just so many of them. And, yeah.
All right, moving on. Our next category is Scariest.
Yep.
Our contenders are Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, Nightmare Cleveland, and Ghoul Brothers.
Yep. So both Chippewa and Nightmare, as you know if you watch the channel, we did touch passes for. Similar in scariness, I think, between the two of them.
Yeah.
Chippewa is longer, though, so at least with the touch pass, it isn't as full force.
Yeah.
It's like a mixture of like people that are going to grab and people that are just going to like be more atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
There are jump scares in Chippewa, but not as many as Nightmare Cleveland, because Chippewa doesn't use boo pedals.
No, they really, they might have like maybe one or two.
Yeah, they might have one or two, because like
but not as much as Nightmare Cleveland,
which makes sense because of what they're kind of going for.
Yes.
Because like the whole goal is to make it not feel like you're in a haunted house at all. Where Nightmare Cleveland definitely leans a little bit more into the you're in a haunted house.
Yeah.
But still extremely heavily themed. But yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Ghoul Brothers. I mean, you're just bombarded by people left and right.
They don't touch here, but it's just like a 15-minute long, just endless assault of just people popping out of all of the places.
All of the places.
Yeah.
So our winner for Scariest Haunted House is Nightmare Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah. When we first went, I think we gave it like a 9.5 for being scary, but then we went back with the touch pass. I mean, I don't think there is any actor in there that didn't throw us around a little bit. Just some of the creepiest things happened to us there with like the one girl we were with, Cam, being pressed against a wall and the guy just pushing his face up against hers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the person rubbing the tongue on our face. Just so many eventful, awful, but in a good way, because you're in a haunted house, moments happen to us in this place. And like we all just left kind of out of breath being like, well, that was
a thing.
That was a thing that just happened. That was a lot. So yeah, if you're looking for an adrenaline rush, yeah, this place is check out, especially since when they reopen for next year, it will be apparently almost double the length. So yeah.
All right, moving on. Best value.
Man.
Our contenders are Fright Farm, Ghoul Brothers, and Fear Columbus.
Yes. So when we take into best value, it's not just like, oh, what haunt's the cheapest. It's, you know, what charges a decent price and also provides you with longevity and, you know, and quality as well. So Fright Farm is the longest haunt I think we went to this year, if you're not including like Factory of Terror, because Factory of Terror has like multiple haunted houses. So like technically it will take a little bit longer, especially when you're like consider how long you're there. But like Fright Farm pretty much did not end. It's just like you get on the hayride, you get off, you go right in the mansion. It just keeps continuing.
Yeah. And then Ghoul Brothers is just nonstop terror. And I mean, it might be short, but it is just, it gives you a quality show in a short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not, but yeah, I think it's like, what, $22 or something like that. And they have other things where you can do like an all-night pass, but yeah. Finding haunts under the $25 mark anymore is really hard, especially one that's of good quality.
Yeah.
So that's definitely why this is on the list. Like, yeah, it's not the longest. It is longer this year because they've added like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 scenes.
Yes.
So they definitely did make it a little bit longer, but yeah, the value there for the price is really good.
And then Fear Columbus is just, yeah, again, you'd get super elaborate sets and props. You've got, you know, awesome actors. And it's 2 haunted houses that kind of just, you kind of blend right into each other. And so it's kind of, you know, it's a fairly long one as well. And it's actually reasonably too. It's like what, like starts at 20.
Yeah, it starts at 20. So, but that's like usually like your Wednesday, I think, or Thursday nights. But if you can go on one of those nights, I think that $20 for what you're getting is such a great value.
Yeah.
And this place doesn't gouge for fast passes, which is nice as well.
Right.
It's like a $10. Most of the time, it's only like a $10 upcharge. And like they do have one that skips the line, but every time we've done fast pass, we just go right to the front.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another reason that Fear Columbus is one of our contenders.
All right. And so our winner for best value is Fright Farm.
Yeah. For 30, I think it was like $30.
$30.
For 45 minutes a haunt.
Yeah.
Now, their fast pass is pretty pricey, but unless you're trying to go to multiple haunts, you're not waiting in line. They have a fun midway, which is another thing we kind of took into consideration. Like, you might have to wait a while, but you can go to the gift shop, you can go do an escape room, you can go do, I think, axe throwing, all kinds of fun stuff.
They had food vendors, they have a giant bonfire, they have live performers. So, I mean, definitely a fun time.
If you're looking for the most bang for your buck, that's definitely a good place to go.
All right, so our next category is Best Actor Moment.
Right, so just specifying specific things that happened involving an actor.
All right, so our first one is the raunchy joke we were told at Laurel's House of Horrors.
Yep.
The birthing man at Carnage. And the woman in the bed at Scare Manor.
Yes. So, yeah. So the joke one kind of explains itself. There was an actor at Laurel's who basically we were catching up to a group in front of us, and he blocked us off, and he told us a really raunchy joke that we won't repeat on the channel, but it was very shocking and just like a really like kind of like intimate one-on-one moment with the actor in our group.
Yeah.
That was very entertaining. Birthing Man, we talked a lot about in detail. That was from Carnage.
Yeah.
where basically this guy comes out waddling. He had a fake baby shoved up between his legs and like let it go, and just a baby plops on the floor. And then the other actor in the room like had a whole spiel they did with him, and that was very entertaining.
Yes. And then the woman in the bed was a woman who was laying in a bed, and as we approached the room, the entire bed came at us.
Right.
And she kept blocking our way and kept going like, oh, here she comes, and blocking us. And that was just a really fun time. And she did kind of block us from like anybody else, and it was really funny.
Yeah, it definitely started us. I was not expecting, because they have it looking so that like looks like she's laying on it, but obviously it's a fake body and her head's just on top, and then her feet are under because it's just on wheels. But the fact that she was talking about herself in the third person and that I just thought was really cute and was a fun moment.
Yes. All right. So our winner for Best Actor Moment was the birthing man.
Yeah, that was freaky. I don't know if that's something that happens to like everyone as they're going through Carnage. I know I watched the Carpetbagger's video and I did not see him, which made me sad.
Oh, yeah.
Quick honorable mention that we didn't include this category, also from Carnage, was the I'm a Clown guy.
Yes.
Who just stands in your way and just keeps putting like lip gloss on and just keeps going, I'm a clown, and then he has like a little tick he does. Yeah, that guy's weird too. But.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next category, which is Best Scene.
Yeah, this one is another one that was kind of hard to like think, because there's so many scenes and so many haunts. But
so our contenders are the ending at Nevermore Haunt.
Yep.
The Viking ship at Markov's, and the theater scene in Laurel's.
Right.
So the ending, we're just calling it because we don't want to spoil it, really took us by surprise.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like that before. I really do not understand how they did it. And it just really intrigues me.
Yeah, I still do not know how they've done it. I've had some people message me about it too, asking me what it was, because we said in that video if you wanted to know, we didn't want to spoil it, but you can message me and I'll let you know. I still don't exactly know how it's done exactly. But yeah, and then the Viking ship, that was just, this one was just such a beautiful scene. You walk and you're actually on a real lake. And you walk out on these these bridges, and you go in between like a cracked in half Viking ship in the middle of a lake.
Fog rolling, and it's just
like green lit, I think.
And it was so beautiful, but so spooky at the same time, and that's what I love.
Yeah, it was really aesthetically pleasing.
And then the theater at Laurel's was just the way they had there was like a chandelier hanging there, and there was just like. You had to weave in and out of the rows of seats, and they had actors kind of blocking you and talking to you at the same time. And it just really made you kind of get enveloped in the whole scene and everything.
And I liked it, since it is inside a haunted theater, that there was at least one of the theater rooms that they didn't completely gut and redo.
Yes.
Because they were actually using... I would have felt almost offended if they were inside of an old, supposedly really haunted theater and didn't even have a theater scene.
Yes.
So I was really happy to see that, and they even had horror movie playing, and just the whole scene came together really well.
So our winner for Best Scene is the ending at Nevermore Haunt.
Yeah, one of the most unique things that we've seen in a long time, and it's worth going to the haunt, I think, just to kind of see that. It's just really cool.
Yeah. Moving on to our next category, which is the most disturbing moment.
Yeah.
We had a different name, but we changed it because it didn't make sense. So most disturbing moment. Our contenders are the toe licker at the Dent Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
The birthing man at Carnage.
He's there again. And
the woman in the wheelchair at Nevermore Haunt.
Yeah. So, I think the first one we mentioned, the toe licker, wouldn't be as disturbing if we hadn't had the behind the scenes tour.
Yes.
But it's basically a guy in like it's like the kitchen scene of Dent Schoolhouse, and there's this like dead body prop, and he licks its leg and then like sucks on its toe. Mm-hmm. He does this so often that the paint of the prop on the toe is rubbing off because he sucks on it that much. Not to mention that this is also one of the smelliest scenes in a haunted house. The whole room and the room after it just smells like decaying corpse.
Oh, it's so gross.
Just the fact, his commitment to be like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do every night. Ew.
And of course, Birthing Man is on here again.
Yep.
From Carnage.
Yep. We talked about that. So same reasons as above.
Yeah. And then the woman in the wheelchair at Nevermore Haunt. So she was in a wheelchair, and she kept telling us that she was so hungry, so hungry. And then she reaches under her skirt and grabs a decaying leg and starts nomming on it.
Because the way they have her sitting there, it looks like she has two legs.
Yeah.
And I think she actually is missing one leg, and so then she rips off one of her legs and begins to eat it, and then says she's going to eat yours too. And it was just really unexpected. I was not expecting someone to rip off what I thought was their second leg and begin to eat it. Yeah.
So our winner for most disturbing moment is the toe licker.
Yep. Yeah. Just ew. I don't know why. It was just like really. Knowing the story and then seeing him do it, just licking the whole leg and then just sucking on it, and I'm like, I don't know about that. You do you, though.
Yeah, you do what you
Good
like.
job.
Go on. All right, so our next category is Best Long Haunt.
Yes. So, haunt that managed to be lengthy but also good.
Yeah. So our first one is Fright Farm.
Yep.
Markoff's Haunted Forest. And Factory of Terror.
Yeah. So Fright Farm, as we mentioned, it's like a 45-minute long haunt. It's a hayride. It's a haunted house. It's a haunted trail. It's all of the things. One of the best graveyard scenes in any haunted house I've ever seen. So cool. Yeah, and it really feels like you're on an adventure. I mean, you're going through like farmhouses, through a guest house, through a mansion. It's just amazing how much stuff you go through in that time.
Markoff's Haunted Forest. It's not only in the forest, but you also go on a little adventure on a rickety tractor ride to a town off in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah. Now that is optional because they're separately ticketed attractions, but
the forest itself is fairly long.
Yeah, it's almost 30 minutes.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like one scene after another, and it's just...
Yeah, and the town, I think, was another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you do both together, if you do them both, it's going to be like at least 45 minutes to just haunt attraction. Plus, they have an amazing midway thing, too, that you can really just stay there a long time for.
And then Factory of Terror has, 5
I think
haunted
it's 5
houses?
different. Yeah, you can't choose which ones, even though they have 500 houses, that's a set order. You can't choose to go into them, like which ones you want to go into first or second or whatever. One big we really liked, but has caused complications for them, I guess, is the fact that they also have like a bunch of different bars incorporated.
Yeah.
As far as I know, this is the only haunt that does this. Now, I know that other haunts will have a bar, but not one that, not like multiple different themed bars, like fully themed. Because I mean, you have a clown bar, you have a greenhouse, French Quarter, a pirate ship one, and then there's one other bar that you can only do, I think, if you're doing axe throwing.
Yes.
But, so we did not experience that one. But I think that's really cool. Yeah, and that's really the main thing that was like the big improvement I think that Factory of Terror did, because the drinks actually weren't that expensive, and they actually made them strong. They weren't like, because a lot of times you go to like theme parks or places like this, it's like a little tiny pinch of alcohol and like orange juice for like $15. But they actually did it right here.
Yeah.
I think. Unfortunately, a lot of people are abusing it from what I understand, but we're obviously don't do that. We have a few, but not enough to be like, and be sloppy and falling around everywhere. But yes, so for the best long haunt, of course, we gave it to Fright Farm. It really does, again, feel like an adventure that you're going on. It's just really awesome.
All right, moving on to most fun.
Yeah. So this might be a little subjective, but the ones that we just like, even if they're scary, we felt like we left with a smile on our face. Maybe we're screaming through the smile, but we still just ear-to-ear grins.
Yeah, so our contenders are Ghoul Brothers, Laurel's House of Horror,
Yep.
and Wilmington
Yep.
Haunted Hollow.
So Ghoul Brothers is really because of the actors, because even though it's terrifying, they're very interactive and they can kind of even be funny, in a scary way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so entertaining and there's just so much going on, and it's such a good place to go with a group of people. As well. Yeah. And again, if you haven't watched that review, watch it, because there's even some footage of some of the people we were with getting the crap scared out of them, which was really entertaining to watch.
Yes, for sure. And Laurel's House of Horrors, the actors were just very interactive.
Yep.
They tried to like interact with you to like stop you so you didn't get caught up with other groups. You know, they were taking into like consideration. They wanted you to make sure that you had a good time.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, the scenes were fantastic, and it just all around was just a fun time to be in.
Yeah. Laura's House of, and it was beautiful, of course, too.
Yeah. And then lastly was Wilmington Haunted Hollow.
Yeah. Which,
I mean, that ride was just...
It was just a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Quirky. And this one we are kind of including the haunted houses as well, because the trail kind of sucked. But the other two haunted houses, one was like a really weird fun house.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of actors in it, but like trying to figure out where the hell to go and stuff was just like really entertaining and fun. And then the last haunt we went to, which is the most traditional one, was surprisingly good.
Yes.
And just having no idea what the hell we were inside of.
Yeah, I still don't know.
I do not know what those buildings are made out of.
I don't know. Like, it's like
Some
they
stuff.
just like glued things together, and we're like, yeah, that seems safe.
It's janky, but it works.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it definitely has a special charm to it.
For sure.
That I really liked, and it's a haunt that I still think about. So that means something.
So our most fun haunt is Ghoul Brothers.
Yeah, you just can't beat the energy of those actors. I mean, yeah, all of these were really a lot of fun, but yeah, you just can't beat the energy from the actors of Ghoul Brothers.
All right, so our next category is best theme at a haunt.
Yep.
And our contenders are the Nevermore Haunt for their 1880s Boston theme.
Yep.
Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse for their slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And Nightmare Cleveland for their laboratory gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. So 1880s Boston is a theme that I don't think any other haunt has or probably ever will.
No.
Very unique. They did a pretty good job of emulating it as well, from like walking down like streets to the sewers and stuff. Obviously, they take some pretty heavy liberties because, I mean, there are some like fairly traditional haunted house scenes as well in there.
Yeah.
But I really like that they went with this theme and that they try and at least tie it all in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely respect that. Overall, Nevermore is one of the most unique haunted houses I think we went to this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, of course, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. I mean, it's in an old slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
It is a slaughterhouse. I mean, you are very immersed into slaughterhouse.
Yeah, I mean, you're there, and that's all you're thinking about while you're there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then, of course, Nightmare Cleveland, laboratory gone horribly wrong. You feel like you are in a place that something happened before you were supposed to, while you were getting there, and you're like, should I be here?
And, we've seen lab themes before, but the extent they went with it and the little time, I've just never seen it done in this way before to this perfection, and it just really feels like a fully realized story from how you start off, and it's more of like the robotic, like assistant people, to the further you go into the haunt, people become more and more mutated into these creatures. Just a very well-realized theme, and again, as I keep saying, I'm very excited to see what they do in the future when they expand as well, what kind of scenes we'll see, but so our winner of best theme at a haunt is Nightmare Cleveland. And the main reason for them the winner is because, like, Slaughterhouse, like we were saying, like, they win a lot. They've won this before, Slaughterhouse has, and again, same owners. But Slaughterhouse, like, they do a great job, but they're already in a really creepy building.
Yes.
Nightmare Cleveland's inside of an old B.S. Sweeties underneath a frickin' Value City furniture. So, like, they actually really, like, you know, they fully created this environment. They weren't, like, handed, oh, here's a creepy environment, make it creepier.
Yeah.
Like, they took something, like, the least creepy you could be and made it horrifying and took a theme that I generally don't like very much and made me love it.
Yeah, and
so,
the fact that we got a little sneak peek of it and it wasn't even creepified as much as when we went into it as a haunted house, because when we got our sneak peek, they hadn't like distressed the walls yet, and like it was just like it was kind of basic, and it was like, okay, well, this is kind of flat. What else are they going to do? And then we were totally surprised when we get there and we're like, oh my God.
They really transformed the lighting and the sound. It just all came together masterfully for sure. So that brings us to our next category of best scare?
Best scare.
Woo.
Woo. All right. The semis at Wilmington Haunted Hollow. The lightning at Nevermore Haunt. And the ending at Nevermore Haunt.
I think the first and only one where we have two haunts on the same category.
Yeah.
Or the same haunt in the same category. Yeah. Put up twice. That's what I was trying to say. So, yeah, the semis, go watch our review if you want a little bit more. But basically, the advantage of you being in a bus and not on a hay wagon is the bus is a bus, and it can floor it.
Yeah.
And there's semis chasing you at, I don't know how fast it goes. It feels fast.
It felt fast. Probably because we had no roof on us and, you know, we were going real slow because, you know, they want you to see the scenes. And then all of a sudden we're like, boo. And you're like, why are we going so fast? And then you see why we're going so fast. And you're like, oh, okay.
And the semis, because there's two. There's two that chase you. And the one, because we were sitting on the right side, which made it even scarier for us. And I mean, like, you could reach out and just touch the semi. I mean, it would swerve into you so quickly and get so close.
Like, I probably could have done this to the guy that was driving.
I'm sure there's safety precautions in place, but it felt dangerous. It felt like we were going to get hit by the semi and just yeet it off the road. It made my butthole pucker real nice and good. Yeah.
The lightning scene at Nevermore Haunt. I made a scare noise. I was quite frightened by it. It was probably one of my favorite, like, just, it was crazy.
Real simple scare, too. Definitely something that I've kind of seen other places, but the method at which they did, because, there's just thunder and lightning, and it's basically a black room, and there's an actor, and we kind of knew he was there somewhere, and then, you know, the lights flashes for a second, so they went off, and then when they come back on, he's just right in Kim's face.
Just right there.
I think he might have even, like, kind of pushed himself up, towering over us a little bit.
Yeah.
And then as soon as lightning went away, he scurried off somewhere, and lightning was again, he was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Which was also freaky, because you're like, well, I know he's somewhere.
Yeah, and he did get us again, but it wasn't as intense, because then we were, like, hyper aware. We're like...
He didn't make you, like...
Where is he?
Scream shriek. So,
I scream shriek. And then, of course, the ending at Nevermore Haunt. Just was like, what? Like... Yeah. I didn't understand what was happening. I'm just like,
still don't.
I'm like,
exactly.
What? Yeah. So
it happened so fast. It's really hard to. Yeah, it was really weird. But yeah.
So our winner for best scare is the semis.
Yeah, because this is not a jump scare, but this is like I don't know how long they chase us for, maybe a minute of just pure. Oh, we might die.
Yeah.
And obviously they do it all the time, and no one's ever gotten hurt, I wouldn't assume, or they wouldn't do it. But like, there's that illusion of, oh, I'm going to get murdered by this semi, and like, even though you know, like, oh, they know what they're doing, they're professionals. There's just that in your head, be like, I don't know. Yeah. Kind of same thing as if someone points a fake gun at you, even if you know it's fake, it still makes you like worried. Yeah. Because their semi just shouldn't be constantly trying to hit you. That just isn't something that should happen, and it's it was horrifying. Yep. Yeah. And I know we're not the only ones that feel that way. People commented and like, oh yeah, how'd you like this scene? Be like, oh yeah, I hated it in a good way. So yeah.
All right. So our next category is best location.
Yeah.
Our contenders are Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, Fright Farm, and Markoff's Haunted Forest. Chippewa Lake, I mean, it's out in the middle of like practically nowhere, set back, it's in an old slaughterhouse that may or may not be actually haunted.
Right. There's some history to that building as well, and it's just like in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And they purposely don't light it very much from the outside.
Yeah, it doesn't have like its own electricity that much. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of scary. Like
yeah. It's real creepy. Like walking back to it is really creepy as well.
Yeah. And then Fright Farm, I mean, when you get there, it looks, unassuming. You get there, there's a giant midway, it's all beautiful and wonderful, and then you get on that hayride, and that hayride just takes you out to the middle of nowhere, back at the end of this farm.
Well, I mean, the farm's kind of middle of nowhere, too, because you can't see the midway. You can't see anything from the driveway.
Yeah, no.
Because you have to, you can see the ticket booth, which isn't really themed, and then you walk up a hill, and then over the hill, and then kind of, go down, and that's where the midway is, and, off in the distance, you can just see, something glowing red. Because I remember the very first year, this is before it got really good, even years and years ago, when I was there, I'm like, what is that? I'm like, is that their house and they just lit it red? I'm like, that surely isn't something they built for this attraction. No, it is. It's built a mansion for the haunted attraction. So yeah. And
then Markov's Haunted Forest, I mean, it's literally off in the middle of nowhere, zero cell service.
No cell service. There's almost no other houses around. There's a couple, but I mean, it's definitely rural.
Yeah.
It was a really pretty drive there in the day too, because we went when all the leaves were changing, and Maryland's was really pretty overall in general. But yeah.
And then I mean, it's in the woods, so I mean, the terrain was already kind of a little sketchy, but they made it kind of passable, not as scary as some other places we've gone to. But yeah, it's in the middle of the woods. You've got these lakes smack dab in the middle of the woods. It's just kind of very immersive and just really scary. So our winner for best location is Markov's Haunted Forest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just what they've done with it, and the fact there's just all these structures in just this creepy forest. It was just impressive, and I mean, you just really feel like you're just lost out there. You're just so far away from civilization. It just really gives you this feeling of isolation, which obviously it's just most places don't have the benefit of this. Although I say benefit, but the location of where they've done these things, I assume, has had to create the owners so much more work. I mean, just how they build these structures, because I mean, some of it is on hills, and I'm like, what a pain in the ass this had to be to build. But they did it, and it's cool. So yeah. All right, so that brings us to the final one, which is the overall haunt of the year. So just our favorite haunt we went to in 2022.
Ooh, and our contenders are Ghoul Brothers, Fear Columbus, and Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse.
Yep. So, Ghoul Brothers, again, for the reasons that we stated before, just the actors, and they weren't on any of the set and prop type categories, but their sets and props are really good and amazing.
Yes.
They have great puppets, some unique that I think only I don't know if they've made them, but some of them I haven't seen other places at least. I have seen things like their crocodile, but they even did that in a way that's special with the way they themed the swamp, and I like the old school feel. They don't stick to one theme. It's just theme after theme after theme after theme. It's every theme you could think of, they kind of have put it in there and done their own twist on it. 1 minute you're in an attic, 1 minute you're seeing Santa Claus, 1 minute you're in a swamp, and it's really cool how much variety you're getting, not only in sets and props, but also variety in different types of scares that they're implementing.
Yeah. And Fear Columbus, I mean, eye candy galore.
Yeah, this place is the antithesis of eye candy. I so badly want to do a walkthrough of this place, just to film and just lights on almost to see how certain things work, because there's just so many things going on. It is just sensory overload.
Very sensory overload, for sure.
I feel like you could go through this place 10 times back to back and still find little details you haven't seen on your 10th,
I did. Last time we went, I was I don't remember that, but I'm sure it was there.
Yeah, it's it probably was there, but there's so much. The set detailing there is just so phenomenal, and the actors are really good too. They're not the most interactive because a lot of it's boo pedals.
Yeah,
but they got me a lot.
Yes, I want to say it's probably a little bit more interactive in Aftermath than it is
For sure.
the summoning.
The summoning is almost all boot pedals, but Aftermath is a mix, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, once you get into the city street in Aftermath, it seems like they're just kind of, like, all over the place, just running around trying to get you, just, like, squeezing themselves between, like, a fence to try to, like, grab at you if you're on the other side of something. It's just, like, yeah, they're very, it's a different kind of feeling in that part of the haunt.
For sure, yeah.
And then, of course, Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. I mean, creepy old slaughterhouse in the middle of nowhere. I've never really been a huge fan of slaughterhouses, but this place has changed that mind because they have done it just so well.
We've loved it every year we went. It was even our haunt of the year last year.
Yeah.
And then doing the touch pass this year, just, you know, them even added an extra layer to it.
Yeah.
And like the outside section has just gotten so much better over the years. They didn't really do any big expansions this year because, again, they opened up an entirely new haunt, Nightmare Cleveland. But still, doing the touch pass made it feel like a new experience for us because we didn't do it last year.
Yes.
And also the touch passes are just... The touch passes, I think, are a lot more fun to do with a bigger group of people.
Yes.
Because, like, just getting to see, like, other people getting, like, antagonized and tortured or whatever is just... It's a lot of fun to kind of be like, oh, who's gonna get it this time, you know? So I kind of found that really cool. But yeah, so I guess we will just go ahead and announce the haunt of the year, which we did give it to Ghoul Brothers this year. Yay! So Ghoul Brothers didn't even get the highest score, but going back a second time, like I said, like I did, and really thinking about it and comparing it to all the other haunts, like there are other haunts that might have been, in some places, more technically impressive, but when you consider the actors, the amount of fun that it is, the egregious amount of scares.
Yes.
Like, I didn't get that many scares the first time we went through. I did get them, but then, like, the second time I went through, and there's even somehow more actors in that place. I don't even know. I don't think there's any other haunt that I've screamed in, like, this much this year. And, like, and, you know, seeing Kim's reaction and, you know, all the other people, because it was all together, because we had Cam and Isaac when we went, and then I had two other people when I went, and, like, everyone, like, when we got done was just like, that's one of the best haunts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, they're a little bit of a smaller haunt. They're in a location that you might not think would be that great. It's in the back of, like, a strip mall.
Yeah.
And their lines usually aren't quite as long as I see other places. And I'm just like, I really feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this place.
Yeah.
But you really, really shouldn't. I mean, like, I think that it is just... They have grown to be something, like, so special and, like, so unique, and I'm very curious to see, like, what they do. And like I said, even their sets and props are really freaking good, too.
Yeah. And, you know, it's surprising, like, going there numerous times, you get to, again, like, for all haunts, you get to see things again and again and again, and you get to look more and get into, like, the detail and stuff like that, and it's just, it's amazing how much this haunt really has, like, grown.
Because we've liked it every year, but it's just constantly gotten better. And now that they've made the lanes, like I said, it's not the longest on. It's like most people, I think it takes like 14 to 16 minutes to get through. But like, it's just, there's no dead space.
No.
There's no, because most haunts that are longer, like even Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, as much as I love it, like, yeah, there's going to be spots where not much is happening and you're just in the ambiance, which is okay. I'm not saying that's not okay. But Ghoul Brothers is shorter, and they just like, they're like, nope, we're like, it's just going to be soon as you're told to go in, when you're walking down, you're not even quite in the haunt proper yet. You walk down a hall and there's like 3 people just yelling at you and banging on things and losing their mind, and you're like, all right, and then you take the left into the door where you really are in the haunt itself, and it's just, I mean, I think I was maybe like 2 minutes in when I went with my coworkers, and someone just turns around and he's just like, what the hell? Towards the end, I think his response was, wow, nothing's just safe here, is it? He's like, they just don't stop. And I'm like, no, they don't. It's just and that's the other cool thing is, like, the actors are so good. Like, you can go through multiple times and they'll always be in different places. Like I know, like, for example, like when we went through the one time, there was 2 actors in that bedroom scene, and like they came out and scared us at once. And then I think when like Cam went back and like the footage, then instead of like that, one was being more interactive, like twisting up on top of the bed and stuff.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
It's crazy. They are very on the fly with what they need to do, and they change it up constantly, and it's like never the same show.
Right.
It's kind of amazing that they are able to do that.
And a lot of it comes down to just the bones of the place, like the design of it just being so well that it allows the actors to kind of yeet in and out as they need to get to different places. But yeah, that's why we chose this for our haunt of the year. After, going to all these other haunts, we're like, yeah, but like no other haunt that I want to return to as much though as Ghoul Brothers, just because like I'm like, no, you know what? No, I want to go just get the crap scared out of me.
Yeah.
And like as far as jump scares and that, I just feel like it hasn't been beat, at least by anyone we've been to this year.
Yeah.
But yeah. Did you agree with our ratings? We would love to hear what you think. Make sure to leave that in the comments below. Also, let us know again which Christmas haunts you would like to see us go to, because we do know we want to go to Nightmare Cleveland. But yeah, let us know anyone that you might like to see us try and make it to, because we hope to get to, realistically, at least 3, maybe 4. Because Fear Columbus is the only one that we've been able to find that's doing it 2 weekends.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it just the 9th and 10th. So we might be able to do 4, but I think we should realistically be able to get to 3, I think.
Yeah.
We should be able to get to at least 3, and then we'll do at least some kind of review, for those. It might not be as much of an in-depth one because, again, it's like a special event, but they're a lot of fun to go to. And I love that this is a trend that's kind of catching on as haunts opening up during the holidays, because, like, yeah, it gives us a reason and a way to go to haunts when it's not just September, October time.
Yay!
So, and let us know what haunts you plan on going to, maybe we'll see you at one of them, like if you plan on going to Nightmare Cleveland or something, feel free to say hi if you see us, but, yeah. Also, make sure you're doing the like and subscribe and checking out the merch store if you want to help support us that way, and the Patreon, all that good stuff, and make sure you ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. We probably will be taking a little bit of a break for like a week or 2, but we do plan on doing some other kind of videos, whether it's more creeps, creatures, and haunts.
Oh my. Or,
whatever it happens to be. But we do plan on continuing to make content, but don't be surprised if you see like a week or 2 break, because it's holiday season, and we just made like all the videos. We were uploading like 3 to 4 a week there for a while.
Ooh,
so taking just a little break on that, but there will still be a decent amount of content. So make sure to look forward to that, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.